Welcome into the Tour Coach, everybody. Once again, I'm your host, Tony Ruggiero, here on the Tour Coach podcast. Big few weeks coming up. I'm going to be headed this week to Live event in Spain, in Andalusia, Spain. Looking forward to that. And then up to the Open Championship in Scotland. And as we've been doing all through the summer, spring and summer, leading up to and through each major, we're running a contest here on the Tour Coach as well as on our DewSweeper TV, on our YouTube page with the Pro Work episodes that are out. We're going to give away a set of Srixon irons. We're going to draw the Monday after the British Open, the Open Championship for everybody. We're going to give away a set of Srixon irons to one lucky winner. We're going to give away a Wingman Mini from Bushnell. And we're going to give away a little DewSweeper Vineyard Vines prize pack. All you have to do to register for this drawing is go to DewSweeper TV on YouTube. That's DewSweeper TV on YouTube, where you can watch some of our podcasts in video and some live action. But on any of those, all you got to do is like, subscribe, and comment on any video, hashtag ProWork, hashtag DewSweeper TV, or hashtag Tour Coach. So make sure you check us out on DewSweeper TV on YouTube. Great contest going on through the Open Championship, and we've got so much good stuff going on here on the podcast, and with all the content we're coming out. If you're listening, you probably know these are the people and the stories and the folks that I work with, meet with, run across, teach in my daily day-to-day travels, from whether it's in Mobile at my studio to down at Old Palm in Palm Beach Gardens, or maybe even hanging out at Joey D's gym a little with Colby Touye and Aaron McConley, or up at Bluebell in Philly, or a live event or a tour event, or wherever it is we may travel teaching the game of golf. We're going to be bringing it to you here on the Tour Coach. It's insight designed to help you teach, grow, and play the game better. Hopefully you'll enjoy this. And once again, before I get out of here and let you listen to one of our discussions, none of this would be possible without my boy Mitch McConnell, McConnell Automotive, Buick GMC, Bushnell Golf, Srixon Cleveland Golf, and of course the folks back home, Stokely's Midtown Garden Center. You can't forget Blaine, or Taylor Martino and Rowan, our boy Ed Rowan. But thanks for all the support through all the years. Keep listening here to the Tour Coach. Go to DewSweeper TV on YouTube. I think you're going to like what you see, and a good chance to win some irons and some other cool gifts from Bushnell and Vineyard Vines through the end of the Open.
All right, so joining us here on a Tour Coach. We've been doing these live lately. I don't know why, but we got some microphones here, too, to go around. Kind of hold these for the live version. It's at a retreat down here at Old Palm. Will McFadden, you've had more airtime lately than Howard Cosell. Well, of course, he's dead, so I guess you'd have to. But my good boy Coop, Donald Coop.
For the dead
cast. And our boy Brady Riggs in from California here. We're going to talk a little golf, and I'd like to start it off tonight. I want to do a takeoff of what Luke said the other night, which was he talked about the two, I called them imperatives. I think he called them essentials to playing great golf, and he talked about curving it one way, never missing it the opposite way, and making putts inside 6 feet. All of us have been around great players. McFadden, obviously, on your way up. You've played with a bunch of great players. I want to start with Coop, with you. Actually, I'll start with Brady.
All right.
Since you got the mic.
Yes, sir.
From your experience around all the great players you've been around, AK, all of them, what are some of the essentials, or what are some of the qualities that you think that players need to succeed at the very highest level?
Well, I'd start with something Tommy Armour III told me one time, who was in professional golf for, 4 decades or something at least. And Tommy said that the difference between a tour player and a really good amateur is that a tour player is comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think that's a big deal about playing really good golf, is being able to handle the stress and the nerves that go with that and still execute. It's not an easy thing to do. I don't know if anybody could ever explain how to do that.
It's hard to accept failure.
It's just being able to execute when it's on the line is a big deal. You know, a lot of us can hit shots when it doesn't count, but hitting them when it does is a different story. And then the other thing I think is, especially with the game now, like, you've got to be able to miss the driver in the right place. You don't have to hit every fairway, but you just can't be blowing it in the direction you don't want it to go. So I think that's a big deal, is being able to hit the driver. If there's trouble right,
eliminate one side.
yeah, just blow it left if you need to blow it left. You don't have to hit the fairway.
Yeah, I like that.
But those are two things I think right off the bat that are really important.
I think, like when I look at young people coming up, we teach them to drive it, curve it one direction. And I think that with all the technology out there, I'll give a shout out to like the Bushnell Launch Pro or whatever, the ability to really dial in wedge distances and become really proficient inside 100 yards. And when I watch kids or people that are really good at each level as they go up, I see like a bunch of kids, a bunch of people that have a lot of power. They're very good golf swings. They're very good players. But then you watch the guys that so to me, if I go to a mini tour event and then I went to a PGA Tour Americas event, then I went to a Korn Ferry event, and then I went to a PGA Tour event, I would bet the distances off the tee almost go down as you go up.
Could be
a little bit, because they learn to hit a shot and to fit things in. But I would guarantee you that their ability inside 100 yards to hit their number, and then Brady, like the stuff you're going to show folks tomorrow, the ability to control which side of the hole they miss it on and hit it on, gets better and better.
Or where they want to be. Yeah.
Where they want to be. Let's get Coop, from your years caddying, obviously out there with Lucas and other guys. You've watched not only Lucas, who unbelievable player. You guys won a major, one of our good friends, but you've walked alongside Tiger. You've walked alongside all these great players. What are the qualities that you saw in their game that separated them from others?
I'd like the wedge thing you're talking about. The worst wedge player on tour is better than anybody that you probably know. I mean, really and truly, like, it's dialed in so much that it's almost mechanical. I don't know how to explain it, in a sense that it's going to be right where they're looking, pretty much, if it's 120 or in. And what's been the focus, what I see you guys doing now, is teaching the drive off the tee to know where your ball's going off the tee, and then focus on that wedge game. And before long, we got something we can work with.
Mm-hmm.
Not because they're all pretty good with the long irons. I mean, how dialed in can you get with a 4-iron? Well, that's a question that can't be, specific person can hit the ball. The wedge game now is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, like how many 4-irons you really hitting around, right? I mean, obviously they hit
that's
some.
what I was trying to get,
Yeah.
But, like, these young students now, their wedge game, like, it is really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Today, it was 110 degrees.
Easily in the shade.
Really a good day if something isn't going well to maybe say my hip, my whatever. But everyone dedicated to finishing. And I mean, I saw some golf today that was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Some advances in what a certain player has, can do, how far they can go in like a year.
You got to give a shout out to the girl Lexi, who's only been playing a little over a year.
I don't have words.
And her ability to do that. McFadden, so you've been around these a bunch. You've come to golf camp a bunch. You come to golf camp with us, with the other guys that play professionally. You've been around Lucas. You've been around Luke Guthrie a bunch. Where in your game do you need to get better to get where you're trying to go? And you signed up for Q School today.
Yep.
There we go. How about that? Congrats.
It took a bit, but
Yeah, I mean,
Q School.
Do you have a caddy by chance?
he's got a caddy.
Yeah.
The question is, does he want to use it?
Absolutely. But just like y'all just said, talking about some of the kids in their wedge games now, like there's two kids that are here this week that have completely different golf games now than when I first saw them. And one of the kids started a few years ago. Saw him down in, I think it was in the Keys first time. And
Which one?
Could barely. It was Alejandro.
Alejandro,
give him
yeah.
a shout out.
Great. He's going to play college golf. Who would have
Exactly,
thought that
yeah,
a while
like-
back?
When I first
Serious.
saw him when he
Brady
started,
saw him
like,
way back at Frederica before I got thrown out of that joint.
if he listens to this, like he'll appreciate it. But like when he was out there at the Keys that first time, like could barely keep it on the range with a 7-iron. Like it was crazy.
And there was a net on the range.
And now today, I got the pleasure to play with him the last 2 days, and he absolutely stripes it. He hit a 4-iron yesterday to 3 feet on number 9, made an eagle, and it's coming off flush and pure, and he is really.
Franklin College in Indiana has gotten a steal on Alejandro Ortiz.
Absolutely.
And that school and that coach, he's been watching. I know he's looking at some of our guys. That guy's doing a good job because he's finding guys that can hit it and figuring he can teach them to play. I'll give that guy, and that's important, right?
I just want to give a shout out to you for letting Caroline participate last week, and it was like a game changer.
Well, we're fired up. We're fired up about her. She's a good young college player. She's got a bright future. We're going to keep helping.
Yeah, and to get back to the question you asked, I just wanted to put that out there for y'all, how impressive it is what some of these kids are doing these days. But for me, with my game, like what I need to get better between now and August for Q School, I think I've got to drive it a little bit better. Kind of what y'all said a little while ago. I feel like I hit it shorter now than I did in high school. I actually know that for a fact, that I hit it shorter now than I did in high school and hit it a lot straighter. But I'd say that's definitely a key, is more fairways. And then, yeah, absolutely. And I really like the way my wedge game is going. It's gotten a lot better over the last year. But as always, it can never be too good. So
it can never be good enough to not work on it as hard as you can.
I agree.
So, Brady, I always pick your brain. I had you help me yesterday with Emilio came in. I always like another set of eyes. I think I'm not one of those people that's too proud to say, like, I don't think I know everything. I don't think I'm the smartest guy in the room, especially not this room. And I love another set of eyes from somebody I trust. Just say, hey, blah, blah, blah. And you watched me with Emilio the other day, and you pitched in a couple things. We had a great session. You've been hanging out here for a few days, and you've hung around now. You've watched Will out there.
Yes.
What advice would you give Will preparing as an outsider who has a great knowledge of the game and a knowledge of how we work? What would your advice be to him preparing for Q School?
I mean, you have to trust your talent. You really want to just dive into the things you're really, really good at.
Luke Guthrie, listen.
You got to believe in yourself. I know it sounds kind of like a generic term, but it really comes down to your belief system in what you do and trying to be great at the things you're really great at. Don't worry about the things you're not that great at. Heck, half the time you can avoid those.
It's almost like you need a level of cockiness.
Absolutely.
To do what you want to do at that level.
And I've had struggled with that in the past, as being super self-confident.
Right.
It's one thing since I've turned pro, it's kind of been something I've really had to work on. Yeah. It's really like knowing that when I tee it up, like I've got a chance to win each week when I tee it up. And so that's been different, but absolutely got to keep.
You got to double down, and like Coop said, like you want to have a chip on your shoulder when you play. It doesn't have to come out like Anthony Kim back in the day, where you just need to carry yourself and believe in yourself in that way. And I think I forget who was saying this. This is years ago. He said he was looking at his weaknesses statistically on tour, and he was trying to get better in the areas that he wasn't as good as he thought he needed to be. But in the process of doing that, he stopped being as good in the areas where he was better than everybody else. So
declining in performance in a sense.
Yeah, you don't want to walk away from the things that got you to the tour. Right. It's like Tony and I worked with a player a few years ago, and he was getting better all the time, keeping improving his performance. But after the year was over, he wanted to try and hit it even further than he was hitting it, and that was the wrong place to go.
That's because he got hooked up working with that idiot.
That's true.
Same initials as me, TR.
Keep a big picture.
Yeah.
Focus on, take a selfie, but focus on the big picture,
Yeah, if you're a great iron player, keep being a great iron player. Don't try to all of a sudden be the best driver on tour and lose the thing that makes you great, Stick with the things that you're really, really good at, double down on those, and believe in yourself. And if you do that, you can play great golf when it counts. And like we were saying, that's the hardest thing to do.
That's the thing that a great amateur can't do that a pro can do is, going to the tee on a Thursday and something's missing, you don't know from these guys that are pros that are touring that it doesn't show up. And I think it's from the confidence in the things that they do well. You know, when they walk to the first tee, it's like, I'm going to do one thing well today. Therefore, I can make up, focusing on one thing is good for a short period, but work on the whole game, I love seeing guys practice changing clubs. I don't know why. I think that's a great way to practice instead of machine gunning 25-7 iron. You don't do that when you play. Hit me a driver and then let's, draw it and maybe cut the next shot. I think that'll it just makes the mind work a little bit. Getting creative and then pulling off the shot instills confidence.
Speaking of practice, which I think is where Coop was going with this, Brady, one of the things I picked your brain on a bunch, I texted you not long ago for a combine for a player of mine. Coop was talking to me in the car this evening about like some of your practice stuff. You're going to do some combine work. I think one of the things that you're the very best at, and I share it with a lot of them. And Will, I think tomorrow you're going to be there for a little bit, like watching some of his practice. He mentioned tonight on the car ride home while he was toting me and Coop around, was somebody's got to take care of us, right, Coop?
Somebody's got to drive us around. We'll drive it in the shrubs. He drives it right down the middle of the fairway.
He said, like, I saw that putting stuff. I didn't get to go through it. And I said, well, Brady will show you the putting combine stuff in the morning. Talk a little bit about the combine work you're going to do tomorrow. I think this is fantastic for people wanting to improve their game because a lot of people could get better just by practicing better. I mean, obviously, I think that teachers and coaches, it shouldn't be all about numbers, shouldn't be all about trying to just change stuff. We should also be helping you, guide you how to practice and prepare and perform better. Talk a little bit about your combine stuff. It's awesome.
Well, just a brief backstory on the combines was that I'd say the first 15 years of me teaching, I was that guy on the range with his JC video out under the tent, working full swing. I was at a public course. It was super busy. Couldn't get on the golf course with people. Short game area was terrible. So I was doing full swing on the range. That's kind of how I was teaching. And I think it helped some people along the way doing that. But when my daughter stopped playing soccer and she decided she wanted to play golf competitively, she was a junior in high school. And I'm like, man, I've got to fast forward this process. I've got to get her good quickly. And so basically she had already developed a pretty good swing. So it was on the course. And then when she wasn't on the course, it was a bunch of different competitive practices to simulate the stress of as much as possible playing golf. So now with every area of the game, I believe in some block practice, hitting a few shots and working on your mechanics. But after that, I want to get things into competitive spaces where you've got to be creative. You've got to think on the fly. And where there's a number attached to the end where you feel stress. And if you're not feeling stress when you're practicing, you're basically recreating.
I've never heard anybody talk about that.
Yeah, you want to be stressed out. I want you to be more uncomfortable in the combines than you are even sometimes on the course.
People don't mention that, but I get asked sometimes about Bethpage, what the feeling was, and it was numb. Like, I didn't see a soul. I didn't see one person. And I think that's what you're getting to, that it doesn't matter what the situation.
Right.
It's like you got to perform, and all that's got to not matter.
Yeah, and you need to train that, and I think
I've never heard anyone want to practice.
It's fun. I mean, I think it's really good, too, as a group to work on stuff like that because you can give each other a hard time. There's a lot of pressure with your peer group where you're working on that.
I think when a pro calls the shot, I love it. Boys, you want a little cut in there, and you give it to them, that makes you confident.
Right. It's kind of funny, all the stuff we're talking about, cocky, chip on your shoulder, believing in yourself, executing under pressure, being comfortable when you're uncomfortable. That all needs to be trained. If you think you're just going to roll out onto the first tee of Q School after looking great inside a studio or hitting numbers on a TrackMan, you're wrong.
The most thing I miss about caddying is that feeling. Unassured, not knowing what's going to happen. First tee jitters, I love it.
Emilio said to me today on the practice holes, we went out and hit some practice holes, and he asked how you were doing and good to see you and blah, blah, blah. And told him you were getting ready to go, signed up for Q school. And he said, man, I may call. So, look, let's not bust it for Emilio if he calls you, right? But, like, he said, I may call him and just tell him, like, the biggest thing I learned about Q school is that, like, the week or two before, like, quit beating balls and just go play a bunch of golf, right? And he said, and it was interesting. He said, and then when I got there, I realized, like, I got 72 holes. There's no cut. So, like, I needed to relax and just go play golf. I had 4 rounds. Right? And I think that's good advice for you. And I think you've done amazing work over the last 6 months. We worked on getting your club face more square. His club face had gotten open, and he kind of would scrunch going down and twist the face open a little.
All that takes energy.
Mm-hmm. And he's back. He's tall. He's in his posture. Face is square, and he's doing all this stuff to hit a draw. Like, I think now he's just got to focus on, like, shooting scores and going and playing golf.
Absolutely.
Playing golf, play your way into big events. You don't want to be on that range. The range is where games go to die.
I think Will's done all that work. I think it's there. And like we're talking about, he just needs to instill some confidence. And somebody's going home with an ass whooping, and it ain't going to be Will. I'm telling you, I've seen it. I mean, it's there. And the same with Luke. I didn't get to spend that much time with Will.
We had to split y'all up. I thought,
Luke and I kind of got in a groove today, and I felt like he was too broad-minded today. It's kind of an open course, and he was frustrated with drives I thought that were brilliant. And I'm like, what was wrong with that? He goes, well, I wanted it to. I go, well, let's do it. Let's, and it made me feel good. I'd say, let's start it at that and have it not cross that. Just make it fall left if you want. It doesn't have to draw. And then, I think
he pipes. He's swinging. Luke Guthrie's swinging the best
as I've seen him.
I've seen him swing in the 10 years I've known him.
I will agree. Every shot I called, he hit.
At one point,
except for one.
Before he worked with us way back, he was a top 60 player in the world coming out of Illinois. Phenomenal talent. You talk about a guy got lost a little bit. He's swinging as good right now and as free as I've ever seen him. And you talk about a nice human being and a guy that you could pull for.
A guy that you'd put a poster in your room of him. Superhero. And his game's there. And when I hear a guy that good say, he's like a superhero in my opinion. The guy's like genuine.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's honest. And, he says something, you can believe it. And just watching somebody hit a good golf shot and then, mumbling, walking away, so I got to step in. Like, what was wrong with that? And being honest, it didn't end up falling right. Well, then I know now why you're mad. And we can work on that let's talk the shot out, I think by yourself, he's a competitive player. He's usually got a caddy. So therefore, like you were talking about, practice like you play. Mm-hmm. He has a caddy. I stepped in there and helped him a little bit with some targets. And, man, it was like I would have paid today. Now, right. Will usually, he's like, I don't focus on Will because I know his youth is like, even if he does hit a bad shot, it's only going to make him angry for, a little bit. But, like, Luke, he's a veteran. He's been through a lot.
He's got some scar tissue. He talked about it on here.
Yeah, and he needs to. He's going to get something that's going to happen that's going to be really good. I can feel it.
Pay attention if you're watching out there listening. Luke Guthrie, something good's going to happen to him. I'm excited about him.
For real.
Putting, Brady, you watched you with. You did some aim point stuff with a girl we had in this afternoon.
Right.
Some tips for putting practice. Guiding people through putting practice.
Yes. So organization really matters, Organization of putting, like how do you spend that time? Mm-hmm. So I think the start of that is start line. Get the ball started on the line you're intending. Mm-hmm. If you can't do that, you're not going to make anything.
Would you recommend maybe like that? I love that tool with the 2 BBs.
Yes, so that's like a Pell's putting tutor.
From the kitchen.
From the kitchen, pouring some wine. Coop's on it. I like Derek Ueda's putting plate is the one I use. I love that. He's Schauffele's coach. 5 minutes on that, that's good. If you can get started through that gate and do 9 in a row, get rid of it.
You don't have to sit there and do an hour.
No. If you can do 9, once you can do it, you can do it. And then once you do that, something maybe to work on speed. We do some different types of drills for speed. And then I go jumping into combines right away, which is my favorite one is a 3-6-9.
Take us through this.
So 5 holes. We set
Will's
down.
Gonna do it tomorrow.
I'll set up Will tomorrow. So 5 holes, we do a 3-footer, 6-footer, 9-footer on every hole. Just 3 putts per hole. PGA Tour average 3 feet and in is 99%. We want to make all those. 6 feet is about 66%, so we try to make 3 out of 5. And then the 9-footer is a little worse than 50%, so we try to make 2 out of 5. So par is simply 10. Full routine. If you use the line on the ball, we want you to use the line. If you're an aim point guy, great. If you want to do practice, whatever it is, I want that putt to look exactly like it would look in a tournament.
Maybe to the point of if they don't, the ball has to end up, if they don't do part of their routine, then they start over.
100%. If there's a distraction, there's a horn blows or something, then you start over again. But we want those full routine, full commitment. And it's only 15 putts, but you care about each one. And I promise you, most people hitting 6-footers on the putting green don't care about the result because it's just another 6-footer. Where we want all those putts to mean something. And by having a scorecard in your pocket and you're marking down the ones that you're making and the ones that you're missing, and you're sending me that scorecard at the end where you're sending me a picture of it. Here's how I did on 3-6-9 today.
You learn how important.
Yeah, it gets you accountable, So that type of practice, if you do 5 minutes on the plate, maybe 10 minutes on speed, and then you do a 3-6-9 drill, maybe do 2 of those, that's 25, 30 minutes of practice.
Easy.
But it's completely organized and very purposeful. And that's what you're trying to do. You really want to spend that time productively, so you don't have to stay out there for 2.5 hours putting. Nobody can concentrate that long on a green. But if you spend 30 minutes and you're breaking it up, it can be incredibly effective. So that's huge, I think, for players.
And I do the same in full swing as far as I like to structure practice to where, like if you've got 2 drills you do, you count out 10 balls, 10 balls, 10 balls, and you hit 10 balls, and every 5 balls you do whatever drill with a band. Obviously, I use a lot of band. Pivot pack, get them, please. Brady you got your pivot pack.
I got
today.
my pivot pack. I feel different already.
You think I could talk you into doing a post with one out in California?
Oh, there's no question. I'm gonna
Perfect. But so say you're doing like Emilio. So let's take Emilio for example.
Okay.
And it's on Instagram, by the way. But you could turn, where he would do the rehearsal, he turned to the top and he pulled his toes off his right foot.
Right.
So he could do 10 balls doing that. Mm-hmm. And the next 10, the next 10 might be where he had the band across his knees.
Right.
And he felt his right hip going deeper. Well, then the third 10, to me, would be changing clubs and targets every shot. Mm-hmm. Right? One be a driver at a target where he's trying to hold it and it not cross left. The next might be a 7-iron where he's trying to draw it and it can't, wherever, right?
That's the brain practicing decision.
And like, to me, if you did 30 or say you did 20 balls, whatever, it's 30 or 60 balls. That's a hell of a practice because you'd be completely engaged, you'd be focused, and you'd be working on the stuff you're trying to work on separate and segmented, and then you're trying to apply it to what goes on the golf course.
Absolutely.
Like if you did like your putting combine and you did your chipping stuff and then you did practice like that, you could go out there in 2.5 hours, have an unbelievable practice that's way more focused, and you'd get better. Instead of the guy that hits, we've all known the guys that hits balls for 4 hours, they come off, they're soaking wet, their white shirt's brown from sweating.
Less confident than when they got there.
I used to always say, I remember one time telling Smiley, man, like if you hit balls long enough, you're going to hit till they're shitty.
You know what I saw something.
By the way, shout out to Smiley on how good he's doing.
Smiley, you are awesome. I hate TV, but I love watching you and listening to you. You are wonderful. I used to, with like Patrick Berg, I want to shout out to somebody that taught me a bunch about this game. He would do on Wednesday a practice round, and we'd do each and every, from one tee, we'd hit what we thought we would, we replicated a practice round. But everything was positive because, of course we didn't putt out. It was just the shots. But he left that range feeling good. You know, and I'd sometimes say, man, we just shot 62. He's probably going to win. You know, just it was a good practice. It was quick but effective.
Let me ask you this question, Coop. This is a total caddy question. How important did you feel like it was how they hit the ball on the range before they went to play around?
I never watched, really. I paid real good attention on Wednesday. Like, what, you know, looking at everything, mostly posture and where the ball was with each club. I knew if those were there that it was probably going to be pretty good, but I didn't pay attention to that because some of the ones I focused on, it was the opposite outcome. Great warm-ups, and then, you know, not so great on the court.
What about that practice round at Harbortown where he had the chance to shoot like below 60
and missed it?
and missed it, and you had said on the 18th tee, we might as well get a flight home on Friday. And he shoot it.
And that's just a caddy thing. You know? It's like our thing was Liz, you know, and she'd be like, Cooper, what's going on? I'm like, I need to get a flight out of here. You know, in a jokingly way. Why? What's going on? Does it look okay? Yeah, we just shot 57 on Wednesday. It doesn't matter. You know, I think the preparation coming in before is much more important as the warm-up session before the round.
What would you do before a round if a guy was freaking out on the range and not hitting it good? Did you ever have any situation?
Yeah. I had a real quick story. A friend of mine, Vaughn Taylor, Monday qualified.
Vaughn is the best.
Virginia Beach. And I ended up, the guy I was caddying for either was hurt or something, didn't show up. So Vaughn asked me to caddy. And I've caddied for him, and he played great. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday, the forecast is just 100% chance of showers all day long. No lightning, no thunder. You know, you're going to play golf. He shows up with a carry bag we had all week, and he goes, man, I'm sorry. And I goes, for what? He goes, you know, I don't have a rain cover, and everything's going to be wet. I said, take this sand wedge, go to the range, start warming up. I'll be there in a minute. Go to the cart barn, get 4 giant garbage bags, put the bag in 2, put 2 over the top, and go out there and say, you got another excuse? I mean, we're going to do it. And he played great. Never looks at a leaderboard, Vaughn.
Really?
Yeah, so, you know, his focus is top 10, top 10, top 10. Well, I know he's got a great chance to win with 3 to play. And he birdies the 16th, and I'm like, all right. Well, Michael Long's playing really good. But Vaughn goes, man, you know, let's hunker down here on these last holes. You know, I'm thinking, I've been hunkering my ass down all day long. I ain't quitting on you. You know, he misses this putt on 18, and he looks at that leaderboard, and he looked at me with kind of a, you know, he missed winning by 2 shots. And, you know, that was his way of blocking everything out, and I was, like, pumped for him. And he became, you know, to be VT. Mm-hmm. Great player.
VT, great career.
He's the best. Hey, VT.
VT.
But
I enjoy hanging out with him.
You know,
he likes fishing.
There's always somebody. It's easy to have an excuse. You know, Patrick one day came in Burke. He's like, might not play well today. I'm like, why's that? He goes, well, the dog barked all night, didn't get any sleep. I went, dude, one time, you know, when I was young, I stayed up for like 3 days. I was like, you'll be fine. That's nothing. Come up with something else. You know, it's just easy to have a crutch.
Will, last question. We'll go you and then Brady. So, tell us what we're going to do. Get ready for Q School. What's your plan? We got what? You have 2 months?
2.5 months.
How long is it now? It used to be 6 days.
No,
now it's
what is this?
4 days at each stage, 3 stages. I'm gonna start in Greenville, Alabama.
Okay.
Pre-Q?
Pre-Q. Yeah.
Unless
I'm exempt. I'm not. I got to figure it out.
Yeah,
but
he should be exempt because he finished inside the top 30 in America's school. Yeah. So PGA Tour, if you're listening and you actually like us, go ahead and help Will McFadden out.
I mean, I think
Jay.
I think between now and September to get ready, I got to just keep doing a lot of the same things that I'm doing right now. I mean, I feel like over the last year it's continued to get better, and I don't see any reason why it can't keep doing that. So I've enjoyed it. I feel like we've got a good plan in place, and I'm just going to keep trusting the process of that plan and keep going.
And I think you ought to spend, not just because I like having you around and Coop around, but like I think you ought to spend as much time as you can down and around good players and good places to be. It's only been 10 days, but who's counting? But I do think that's good for you.
Watching, I watched a lot of good golf, and I think that you learn a lot about it. Not that you can replicate doing it, but you learn it. He can replicate it, and I think it's a big deal. Like when we get the kids that want to run off and kind of not pay attention, I think they're hurting themselves by not watching the other kids or whatever even fail. It's like I can see why that didn't work.
Brady, parting shots from the weekend, the podcast, whatever.
Every time I come out to a school with you,
the east side,
it's always fun because Coop's got it. I always learn something,
I learned a lot today.
I learned a lot working with you, I always give you a hard time about your pivot pack.
But I wish this was longer because I wanted to talk about his stuff. Like today when I walked up.
Well, we can keep going.
What you had set up, I'd never seen that. I haven't seen it.
I appreciate that.
And it was like, I've always thought that speed is so important.
How cool is that, though? You've caddied for how long? Been around the game?
A long time.
Right?
Longer than most people.
And he came up to me this evening, and I think we had just gotten here. And he goes, man, that stuff Brady was doing on the greens, I want to talk more about that. So there's it, but like he's still trying to learn.
That's why
he's won
great.
A major, multiple wins, all that stuff. He's still fascinated with learning, and a shout out to you, especially though he's still fascinated with helping people.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but I am. I like today that question I asked him.
Right, you asked great questions.
It was like it could make you out to be dumb. Maybe
not at all.
The answer I got, and I will talk about this next one. It was like. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, the one thing that Coop was watching some of the kids doing was we put a ghost hole out there, one of those.
Oh, I didn't know about this now.
We had the ghost hole on a 3% slope. And so we had a 10-footer left to right downhill and right to left uphill. And I was trying to get players to stop the ball on the ghost hole, which is really tough. So they're having to match up the speed and the break.
Has to enter it like 9 o'clock.
And it's got to be just like the last roll has got to get on it. And it's amazing when they first start how they have no control over the speed.
I was like, how attached is this golfer to that golf ball? It was unreal.
And they start rolling, and now they're stopping it on the edges, and they're getting really good. And every single one of them ended up getting on the ghost hole. Yeah, it was challenging, but it was neat to watch them just start to be totally creative and be completely connected to what the goal was instead of thinking about their stroke.
It's like teaching what you need to compete on the PGA Tour. Like, that's how in control you have to be over that nugget. I mean, you got to know where it's going.
And Coop, I'd ask you, so during that Open, right, were there some putts that were so fast and so slopey that he was having to die that ball last half roll into the top edge, right?
The thing that fascinated me is all the rain that we got that week. The greens were rolling 14, and they are, and you're standing over there, you're totally confident in what the guy's doing, but there's a little bit of doubt. In my mind, if he had that, we wouldn't have won. Lucas had no doubt. And I always knew for some reason he talked about the other event he played there before, how he felt about the outcome of it, and for some reason it felt like he should have won that tournament. I don't know why. It's just weird. I think I worked for him so much that I felt like, he could win this easily.
Same way at the PGA that year I was there. Like, you just knew he was going to play good.
Yeah, I don't know how and why, but you just got a feeling like these two match. And then you have the feeling sometimes like we should never come back here.
I've seen those places.
Like this condo. Right? This condo. Brady, awesome stuff. This has been fun.
Yeah, thanks again, Tony, for having me. Like I was saying about your pivot pack, I give you a hard time, but every time I come, it's fun watching you incorporate something new. And like you were saying about Coop, who never stops learning, I know you don't ever stop learning. I don't ever stop. I mean, I look back 10 years ago and I think, man, I wasn't very good at what I was doing. 20 years back, I'm like, I was horrible 20 years ago.
My favorite reason for doing this is to take people that I care about and that I trust and I believe in and I know are smarter than me, and like to get us all together so we can help people. But like I got a chance to teach with you, who I have enormous respect for, and like, to pick your brain, like, and it's great for the student, right? And you get all these people that like want to stand there and they say, I got the answer, I'm a big dick dog and all that. And, like that, like, let's help the people in front of us. Let's create some good content. And,
can we set up something for the next one?
Yes.
Because I always wonder about one quote or one lesson that could destroy somebody.
Wait, you mean the next podcast?
No, let's do one on that. Like, how are you guys confident in telling somebody, you need to change this?
We'll do that.
You could run them away from golf with some wrong or bad information.
That's a good one. We'll do that. I know
y'all
some people
just
have done it.
Watch these guys work. It's
same initials.
It's good.
Terry. All right, guys, everybody, appreciate everybody sitting in. Brady, thanks for making the trip to California. Coop, thanks for driving down through the middle of the night. Unbelievable. Willie, thanks for staying here for 47 days.
Yeah, thanks for living.